What's up guys, my name is Ace, and in case you missed the news yesterday, we got an update in Black Ops 4 that essentially puts us back to the Black Ops 3 system of earning, or I guess in this case, winning new guns. It's entirely based on luck, and they added 6 new weapons, 4 of which can only be earned in reserves. Obviously, as a result of this, the whole community is up in arms because this is an absolutely ridiculous system that we thought we had finally got away from. And yet, it seems like they're a little bit on the desperate side because they brought it back. Additionally, I also want to mention in COD World War II, they added a bunch of new guns. And with that as well, those are all locked in supply drops currently, instead of allowing us to spend armory credits. I was actually really looking forward to those guns. I had about 100,000 armory credits saved up, ready to go. I was going to make gun guides on those. But then I found out all of them are in supply drops. I don't really have that much interest in grinding a ridiculous amount of time to earn supply drops in COD World War II, and I'm not going to be spending a penny on things that are locked in supply drops, so it looks like that's out of the picture as well. So with this update and this change, specifically relating to Black Ops 4, where they lock these new weapons in the reserves, this has once again sparked a debate. Who's to blame for this? Is it Activision? Is it Treyarch? Is it a mix of both? And who should we be expressing our frustration to? Should we be directing that towards Treyarch and the developers, or should we direct that towards Activision directly? Or is it a bit of a mix of both? Well, the way I see it at least, I would say Activision is absolutely the driving force behind these sorts of decisions, and they definitely deserve the majority of the blame. But having said that, I don't think Treyarch as a studio is off the hook either. Now, the reason I say Activision is the driving force behind this is, first off, Activision is the publisher. They're essentially the parent of Treyarch. And they can absolutely tell Treyarch what to do when it comes to business decisions because they are the publisher. Activision does have to answer to their shareholders. That is their primary reason for existing as a corporation, is to please the shareholders, and especially these days, it's all about quarterly profits. It seems like there is not a whole lot of long-term big picture thinking. It's more so, how are we going to meet our targets for this quarter? And this isn't a problem that's unique to Activision or the gaming industry. This is just kind of how the corporate world is. So I would say definitely Activision is the primary driving force behind this, and they do deserve most of the blame when it comes to these decisions. But a lot of people ask, why does it seem like Treyarch games always get hit the worst with this? So like Black Ops 3, their previous title, that had one of the worst post-launch weapon systems we've ever seen. Actually, I believe it is the worst, at least in my opinion. It is the worst one we've ever seen. And now we're seeing essentially that same system return to Black Ops 4, whereas with Sledgehammer's game, COD World War II last year, as well as Infinity Ward's Infinite Warfare, both of those had pretty reasonable methods for earning post-launch weapons, and they really weren't that bad at all. I had very few complaints when it came to that stuff, because we almost always had clear and direct methods for earning the new weapons. So why are the Treyarch titles so much worse when it comes to this stuff? Well, this is a little bit of speculation on my end, but it is most likely due to the fact that Activision has set higher targets for Treyarch and the Black Ops franchise because they know the Black Ops franchise is going to sell really well. It's a proven series that's always a big seller for them, and therefore they set the targets higher, and they have to meet those targets for their shareholders, otherwise things aren't going to go so well for them. So I suspect they weren't meeting those targets with Black Ops 4, and therefore they decided to just ramp things up completely and essentially screw over the consumer. So I really do feel that's mostly the reason we see worse systems in these Treyarch titles, specifically with the Black Ops series. But at the same time, I don't think Treyarch as a studio should be completely let off the hook here. One of the reasons for this is a little while back when that $28 melee weapon, that hammer, was added into Black Ops 4, Michael Condrey, the previous co-studio head at Sledgehammer, chimed in on this and essentially said, not on my watch. Like, something like that wouldn't have happened on his watch over at Sledgehammer when he was in charge of COD World War II. So that definitely seems to imply that the studio heads, or at least the studio in general, does have some say in what's going on there. I don't know how much say, because at the end of the day, Activision effectively owns them. But that did seem to imply that they would have at least some say in maybe the pricing or the way that they are implementing that. And therefore, that's one of the reasons I feel Treyarch shouldn't be let off the hook completely here. Now, at the same time, I think we have to look within the organization, within the studio itself. And I think a lot of the blame is often misplaced. I've seen some people tweet actual developers, the guys that are actually working on the game itself. And honestly, I think the majority of the developers themselves probably dislike this decision that they made yesterday as much as the rest of us. These people pour their heart and soul into making these games the best that they can be, and they want us to be happy. Even Vonderhaar doesn't seem very happy with this. He had a few like cryptic sort of tweets from yesterday, but you could tell he was not particularly happy with what was going on yesterday. So even him, he's been around for a really long time, and he's definitely got some pull and power within Treyarch. I don't think he had any say whatsoever with what happened yesterday. So within Treyarch, it is most likely just the suits there, the higher-ups at Treyarch, like the studio head. I don't know the full organization and how it works, but I personally don't blame the actual developers themselves, the people that are building the game. I don't blame those guys. It definitely appears to be more so those business people within Treyarch and within Activision that are making this stuff happen. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't really matter all that much who is to blame. It more so just matters that they are screwing consumers over with this. This is a completely anti-consumer way to handle this. They're treating this as if it's a free-to-play game and putting things in random loot boxes that actually affect gameplay. And I thought we were finally done with this. It seemed like with COD World War II and Infinite Warfare, they took some amazing steps forward. Initially, when Black Ops 4, the contraband streams and stuff, they were pretty good. I actually didn't mind them all that much. I thought it was nice. You had a direct method of earning all of the new weapons. And if you wanted to get them right up front, or you wanted to speed up the process a little bit, you could spend some money to progress through those tiers. And I thought that system was just fine. With yesterday's update, they effectively took the ability away from us to grind for weapons, and now it's either just luck or throw a ton of money at that. And just to put this in perspective for you guys that may be considering putting some money in to buy some supply drops and maybe get one of these new weapons, I've seen YouTubers putting up to $800 into this system before earning one of these new weapons. Not all four, literally one weapon. So hopefully that's enough to discourage you guys from even thinking about supporting this system and buying any supply drops attempting to get these. Your odds are extremely low. And also, if you're doing that, you're just signaling to them that this is a good system, and you know what? They can take it even further next time because we love it so much. So please do not support this system. And this brings us to the last thing I wanted to mention in this video. This definitely has me concerned for Modern Warfare. Just like with the Black Ops franchise, the Modern Warfare franchise was extremely successful back in the day. They are feeding on your nostalgia extremely hard with Modern Warfare, and it's most likely going to sell extremely well. If we look at this pattern here, the games that sell well tend to have the worst post-launch systems, and therefore, I'm concerned for the future of COD Modern Warfare. It's most likely going to launch in a good state, and at first, we're probably going to see a fair and balanced system. But what's going to happen down the road with that game? I really don't know, and at this point, I really do want to strongly encourage you also to hold off on pre-ordering Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Even if you absolutely 100% know that you're going to get that game at launch because you're a Call of Duty fan and you're just really excited for it and you want it, I encourage you to at least hold off for as long as possible on your pre-order because, once again, pre-ordering signals to them that you'll just eat up the marketing and buy whatever they present to you, instead of waiting till you get more information on the game and how things will be implemented and handled. And the more pre-orders they get, I at least feel, the more they'll feel that they can get away with stuff when it comes to the microtransaction systems. Even as a Call of Duty YouTuber, I refuse to pre-order that game until at least the beta, assuming there will be a beta. If you do have to pre-order to get in, of course, I'm going to pre-order at that point, and I wouldn't blame you guys for doing the same. But I really hope you guys will at least hold off for as long as possible on that pre-order. But with that, that's all I wanted to talk about in today's video. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about all of this? Who do you think is primarily to blame for this type of a system? Is it Activision? Is it a little bit of Treyarch? Or is it maybe equal between both in your eyes? Just let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah.